Hi, my name's Drew, and if we haven't met before, welcome to ReadyBudgetGo. If this isn't your first visit, welcome back. Either way, I'm glad you've decided to join me. It's Friday, so it's time for the weekly reel. Normally I film this video on Thursday nights, but I was traveling this week, so I'm filming it on Friday afternoon, and it'll be a special Friday evening upload, or Friday afternoon upload, depending on what time zone you're in. In this video, I cover all my weekly spending, all the money that came into and went out of my life, my real budget numbers, real triumphs, and real mistakes. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go. First thing I always start with is a cash dump, and you'll notice I don't have the coin pouches with me this week, and that is because I didn't spend any cash this week. So let me set the binder aside here. Now, I do have some cash that I spent this week because, again, I'm filming this on Friday and I spent cash to get lunch. My budget weeks run from Friday through Thursday. So for last week, I'm going to take out the $50 that was in here, and that goes into this pouch as my voice cracks. So I will just add the 20s and the 5s. So far for this month, I have $20, $40, $65, $75, $6, $7, $8 that I didn't spend, $78 total. And that is after 2 weeks. I have 2 more weeks left in March. Again, my weeks run from Friday through Thursday. So that is that for this. Now I need to take out the money for this week, and it's going to be a little bit short. It's going to be $39. So let me get to the front here, because again, I already spent out of this envelope. Well, shoot. Okay, there we go. So that's $50 for next week, or for next week. So for this week, $25, $35, $6, $7, $8, $9 is going in. I just, I got off the plane late morning. My flight was delayed. So by the time I got home, it was lunchtime. So I just went out and got lunch at the little sandwich stand down the street. All right, so that's the cash dump. Let's talk about what happened in my budget this week. First up is not the goals. First up is the big move, but I am not going to talk about this just yet because I want to talk about this in concert with the section on savings. So I'm going to pull this out and set it aside so that I have it to reference later. But for now, let's start with the March budget. So this last Friday, my first paycheck of the month came in, and it was as expected. No bills came out this week. Weekly spending was over by about $50. I'll explain that later when I go through the transaction detail. I did put aside $100 into my sinking funds. That is on game night on Mondays. And $661 I set aside for the big move. But I spent that money already. So again, I'll explain that in more detail when we get to the savings section. Okay, so cash flow. This is basically a checking account register, and I did not highlight this even though that was this week. Everything that you see in purple happened this, happened this week. Let me just get a board here so that I can highlight without risking bleed. Okay. So in my budget overview, I round the numbers, but here on the cash flow tracker, I use the numbers down to the penny. So paycheck 1, oops, I'm so sorry. I bumped the camera stand. Settle, okay. Paycheck 1, $3,298.55, and then I had 2 transactions come out for my new apartment in Ohio, and that was a little bit over $700. Again, I'll cover that in more detail later. And then 3 credit card payments also came out. This one for American Express, that was the hotel for the earlier trip to Dayton, so that was a big chunk that came out. Alrighty, next up, the expenses. So again, everything from in purple is from this week. Lots of DoorDash, lots of eating out. Because I knew I was traveling, I didn't go to the grocery store. I just kind of lived off of restaurant food for a few days. Probably should have gone to the grocery store, but I didn't really have time to cook anyway. This week was so busy just trying to get ready for the trip. Going on the trip, it was incredibly hot. I went to Los Angeles and it was in the upper 90s, almost 100 degrees in March when it's still winter. That's just crazy, but I made it back in one piece. I didn't melt. Okay, so also there was some other spending here that is not normally things that I spend on because it was travel. Now, some of these I could have broken down further. So at UCLA, I spent money for myself, and there are also things that I spent on for the business. So some of those technically could have gone into my business account, but it's just easier to just do it all in one rather than trying to parse that receipt. I also had a couple of transportation charges here. I had to add more money to my tap card. I had about $6 on it when I arrived in LA, but I was using so much public transportation that it just quickly depleted. So I had to add another $10. And then I took a Waymo, which is a driverless taxi, and that was interesting. That was $24.55. DoorDash, when I was down there, so I took one personal day, $43.26. Amazing food in Southern California. And then weekly cash, $50. Now, if you are new to my channel, I always record my weekly cash as $50, no matter if I spent all of it or none of it. Like in this case, I didn't actually spend that money. But when I take it out of the bank, to me, that is a sunk cost. So I always record it as a $50 expense. And this week, if I hadn't done it that way, then I would have come in just almost exactly on budget. But I want to be sure that I'm accounting for that spend and that I'm tracking my actual spending. So $50 got recorded, and that brought me to the $352 and change, which is why I'm over. Now, I'm not terribly worried about being over because I do have some wiggle room here. I have a $190 buffer. I have an annual fee that didn't come in this month, so I'm okay. And I didn't completely blow it. So as long as I rein it in for the last 2 weeks of the month, I should be all right. Okay, I think that is it for the month so far. Let's talk about savings. So emergency fund is fully funded. I still haven't put a fully funded sticker on this, but it is fully funded. And I will do my darndest to remember to put up a screen capture from Wealthfront that has all of my different savings categories in it. So Wealthfront holds my emergency fund, and it also holds 2 accounts for the big move. It has the subscription savings challenge, subscriber savings challenge, and it also has the other part of it, which I put in as books because originally I was using savings challenge books. But now I am doing smaller savings challenges, bigger savings challenges. Anything other than the subscribers goes into that account. So in terms of the tracker, so this is still correct at $15,000 for the emergency fund. I haven't had to touch that. The blip fund we're not working on yet. Subscriber count is still accurate on this side, although as of when I'm recording this, I am 1 subscriber shy from the next milestone. So as soon as that person decides to subscribe, maybe it'll be you, I will fill in that bubble, and then I will get this updated as soon as I get the money into the account. It was my intention to transfer the $50 into Wealthfront to put in this account this week, and I just plumb forgot. It kind of got lost in the fog of the travel and the heat and work being busy and everything else going on, so I have not done that yet, but I know that I owe the $50, and when this bubble fills in, I will owe another $50. So this should be at $45.50, and then, well, no, the account should be at $4,500. It's at $44.50, and once this fills in, it will be at $45.50. Okay. So now let's talk about books, and this is where I want to bring this other sheet back in. So as I mentioned earlier, I had a couple transactions hit this week, the $699 and the $295. $699 is essentially the admin fee to lease the apartment, and the $295 is the fee for paying the admin fee. So I paid both of those. Those will come out of the Big Move account. I will get that money back, or well, I'll get the $699 back after, I think, 60 days of tenancy. So that is going to be like July, maybe August, that I'll see that money back. But for now, I have to record it as out of the budget. So this is where I put it. I also noted here that I'd taken $2,700 out of the Big Move which is what I had done here. So essentially, all these weeks that I was saving money in my Tuesday video and my Wednesday video, I was just transferring it out of the big move and into the emergency fund, because I was saving for the emergency fund, but spending out of the big move, if that makes sense. So instead of transferring money to my checking account to pay the credit card bill for the big move and transferring money from my checking account into the emergency fund, I just transferred it directly from this account into the emergency fund, just to make it cleaner. But I've always recorded what I was doing. So I noted that I took $2,700 out of the big move already. And then this week, I saved another $661. So that put me at a deficit of $3.90. So technically, I should be putting $4 more into that account, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's not that big of a number, and I will be spending more in the big move soon enough. So that is where things sit as of right now. So the account in Wealthfront should still match the $3,693. I also have $650 sitting in a separate account that is just waiting to be transferred over into checking if more expenses happen. And that is where this account is also where I'm putting all of the future savings. It didn't get any of the money this week because I knew I was spending more than this on the admin fee. I hope all that makes sense. It is somewhat tricky of a thing to figure out, just trying to keep everything accounted for. This is what makes sense to me, and it keeps me from having to have money bouncing around back and forth between account and account and account and account. So that is all I'll say for that. In terms of, keeping things clean, speaking of that, I have been meaning for some time to share my business expenses with everyone. And again, part of the reason that I decided not to split out what I had spent at UCLA was just because things are kind of messy right now. I've actually hired an accountant, so I will be working with them to file the taxes for 2025 and then get things cleaned up for 2026 and forward. So hopefully I can start sharing those numbers with you, probably not till after the big move, maybe the second half of this year, but so that you can see what is going on in my business as well. So that is it for the budget update for this week. A couple of programming notes. I will have the April budget with me out this weekend. I don't know exactly when that will go up, either Saturday or Sunday. I can't believe we're looking at April already, but time marches on. And then also the March launch video will be coming up next week at some point. It really depends on when I get the dice for Cute Machine. So Cute Machine, the physical version, is being restocked. The digital version is out now. I have not put out a launch video yet for the digitals, just because I want to wait for the physicals to come in so that I can launch those as well. And you will definitely want to tune in to that video if you have anything in your wish list or in your cart. So that is what I'll say for now, just as kind of a reward for watching all the way to the end of the video. Usually if I have anything exciting to share, I like to put it at the end, so that people who are the true blue watchers of my content get the first insight into what is coming. So in that vein, thank you so much for watching, and especially for watching all the video all the way to the end. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already. Maybe you'll be the one that gets that next bubble filled in. And until I see you in the next one, take care.